rowboat project slowed down considerably lately for a couple of reasons. One is had a project that my daughter needed for a table. So we wrapped that up, but it's cold in here, and we kind of went from summer to winter. Maybe we'll get some warm weather before real winter settles in, but this place isn't insulated. So major epoxy work, we'll see how that goes. There are some wood-only tasks we can do. I can make the rudder and dagger board and tiller. I've got enough information to do that on the boat now. And we can rough cut the plywood for the hull and even make the scarf cuts. But making the glue joint there, we'll have to see if we get enough warm weather. So I thought in the meantime, I'd catch up on some of the videos from the trip that we took right after my son's wedding to Kelly's Island, and talk about the sailing kayak, which kind of got me restarted after a number of years ago building our day sailor. So yeah, we'll make a little video about the sailing kayak. Here's our sailing rowboat plans, which we've seen. I think you can see that. Seen a lot of so far, and so this ought to look somewhat familiar. It didn't turn out quite like these, but these were the same measurements I used on a strong back approach, frame, birch plywood, etc. So make a video out of talking about this boat. Yeah, I think what started me thinking about this, I call it my empty nester boat, was that this 17-foot day sailor takes a lot of time to set up, and the kids were grown and gone, and so I started the same way I had that boat 25 years before, stretching a tape measure, laying out chest pieces to sit in it and get the dimensions for the chine and the shear, lofted out the ribs, and there's 2 temporary formers in there. It's my son Michael looking suspicious. And drew out the shape of the stem, and again this sort of technique of just sort of using the frame to get the bevels pretty easily. 1/4-inch birch ply for the bottom and side scarf joined, rough cut, glued on, and then trimmed to fit the frame. Took it off the strong back and flipped it over. It's pretty fun. And this is my first exposure to really fiberglassing the whole thing in epoxy, which I didn't have money for in the bigger boat years ago. And I had to make the spars. I used thistle spars and fins for the big boat, but I had to make rudder, daggerboard, mast, and boom, and all the rigging, and design a sail. But it's been awesome. It's car toppable, so we've taken it to the Keys several times, out west to Jackson Lake. Here we're paddling around the mangroves in the Keys. Just a lot of great features to it, and so we were headed up to Kelly's Island and talk a little bit about how the thing is used in different configurations and some sailing footage.
Show the kitchen area, and it'll be quite glamorous at night.
Yes, with the lights.
We will have a glamping experience. Maybe you can turn that thing on again at night and show full
Sure,
effect.
yeah, we can take clips. Mixture of our own equipment and stuff Sue's sort of pre-stocked this thing with. Some tarps.
I wanted to put this at an angle so we both could view the water from here.
This shoreline over here is a protected wildlife area back through there. It's a beautiful sandy bay. We'll at least do some paddling out of the marina just over there. Maybe do some sailing too. So Kelly's Island. The bike stacker. It's a little tough to get them in and out of here, but here's all the gear: the rudder, tiller, daggerboard, and combing, and the spars and sail for the sailing kayak. So, man, really nice to be here. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a lovely morning.
Look at that sunrise coming up. Here's our little teardrop camper set up. Really delightful. Good forecast for sailing today too.
Well, I hardly ever think there's such thing as a perfect sailing condition, but this seems to be at 10 to 13 offshore. And I'm going to try to film from my hat. We'll see how this goes. This is the launch procedure. So there we're all rigged. You can put the rudder in down position when you're coming off a dock. The sheets onto the traveler and the halyards through the cleat, and we're ready to paddle and see if we want to raise sail. One of the things about this realized is these little 4-inch PVC sections snap on and off because it's so narrow. You have to lay the boom up on the foredeck at an angle across your lap. You can't just have the whole thing fastened to the mast when the sail's down and have anywhere to be in the boat. So that's worked out really well. Snap them on, snap them off, and they've never come loose. Even I've been out in 30-knot winds. Works great. I think I'm recording. Alright, so we're under sail. Just gonna be beam reaching back and forth across this bay. And we'll see what kind of wind we get and whether or not these videos actually come out. Usually I can't video with my phone when it's at all interesting because it takes two hands. A lot of balancing that goes on. But I've been interested to try this with the GoPro. We're on the far side, west side of Kelly's Island, looking back toward the mainland there. And that little guy sticking off, that's Catawba Peninsula with Mouse Island off the tip. And that's where I first fell in love with sailing, on the far side of Catawba Peninsula. Kid, outstanding visibility. That's Peely on the horizon in Canada. And then behind the sail is South Bass. So we're hardening up so I can, if I get in trouble, coast downwind. And let's, here comes a gust. Let's see what this is like. Starting to see occasional whitecap. Back inside the bay here, it's romping up, so I'll try to video a little of this. Alright, heading in on a beat, push the board down a little bit, and it is just a blast. Thought I'd film a little of trying to come close to the wind. Alright, let's see if we can video the procedure for coming to dock. I don't think we're going to beach, keep the rudder down, but first thing, kind of heave to, removable coaming, stowed. sail to the dock, and I'll show what it's like. I normally don't like to. It just gets really awkward and fast. Tiller. So I can steer the tiller just by pulling on these lines. There's Deb. I'll pick her up. So we converted to paddling. Took the rudder to the up position and a daggerboard trunk plug, and ready to go. So we're gonna, hi Deb, we're gonna anchor off this little protected area in this shady spot. How deep is it now? You touch bottom with your paddle. Yeah, about a foot. So let's not get too much closer with the rod. So another fun little permutation of this thing is you got these kayak style handles, and what we're gonna do is use those to carry it up onto the beach instead of dragging it out of the ramp. Look at the bow, if you look at the stern, I think it's lighter. Just set it straight up here. I think that's good. Don't see a lot of pebbles. Let's go cook lunch. Very simple. Clip these guys back on. I doubled these up when I'm on a long trip because these are critical. I was getting ready to replace one set and thought, you know, 2 sets is better than 1. Strong points here are multi-use for tie down on the road where the traveler clips and where the axle of the wheels go. So, well, we packed up and came to a little hotel here on the South Shore of Kelly's, and woke up and it's gone from summer to winter. Blowing 25 to 30 out there. What a change. Heading home today.